time for Life and Money Matters with the Success Guys, Mike Hill and Renee Guerra. Changing lives one day and $1 at a time.
You want to stand up?
Hey, welcome from Singleton Plaza today. We're literally in the middle of Mardi Gras with Mike Hill and Renee Guerra. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, Jim. This is awesome.
Doing fancy. I have no idea how I'm going to be able to focus, but I'm going to try my best. This is definitely a fun atmosphere down here.
Well, we've got John Garrett back in the studio taking us through the show. And today, guys, Life and Money Matters with the Success Guys. We're going to do a little bit of a recap from last week. Last week we got into core values, talked about what core values meant and how they kind of drive us in our everyday deal. We're also going to talk about Mardi Gras, obviously.
Woohoo.
And the reason for Mardi Gras and what that means to give us relaxation, put a little bit of peace in our mind, give us a new focus, right?
It does, Jim. It takes the edge off today. You know, when Mike and I got up here, we started looking at all the food, and of course you dived in pretty quick. You got a little cup of gumbo there, and we ended up tasting the number one that won the party today. Was the number 10. That stuff was awesome.
Number 10 from the Sea Shack won it. Ken Roberts decided that was the winning deal today. So
it was awesome. It was excellent.
We can keep Ken's palate on the payroll because that was a pretty good one. I'm not going to lie.
Ken's palate's we're going to continue to pay him for his tongue, huh?
That's
we
right.
We won't go there too long. All right, let's get into it a little bit. Last week we talked about core values and how we set those core values, where those core values come from. And we had a chance at the station to even go through the exercise of going through your list, Renee, and
sure.
I'm really appreciative of that. Our folks at KBEC came out with creativity, spirituality, and spontaneity is kind of their core values. But we were all over the board. I mean, among 8 employees, we probably had 15 things listed.
Wow.
Now what do we do?
Well, you know,
where do we go from here?
I think you take those 15 and you still need to narrow those down. And you ask the question is, what is the core value? Now, I'm assuming that's for each individual or the station?
Each individual.
Okay.
Each individual had, we told them they were only supposed to have 5. We had
5.
One employee that decided that they were going to go a little bit overboard, and I think they had 17.
17.
Well, I think they were on the individuality scale.
Yeah, they were on the individuality scale, no doubt about it.
Well, when I took this, and we went through the core values myself, I had probably about 10 to 12. And so what I kept doing was asking myself, which one resonated with me the most? So I just kept asking myself the question, you know, kind of eliminating, are 2 of them the same? Or, you know, like, let's say, goal setting and I'm trying to think here off the top of my head, but something that can, basically a balance. In other words, 2 might be the same.
Gotcha.
If that makes any sense. In other words, a go-getter and someone that wants to high achiever. So those might be the same one, equal it out. So, you know, for me, I narrowed it down, kept asking myself questions, which one means the most to me, and how does that affect my life, and how can I look back on that and see where that fits in. And so I narrowed mine down to 5. Now, you know, it's not one of those things where someone needs to say, hey, I've got so many, but they need to really kind of look at narrowing it down and find out who their true core is. You know, what's kind of driven them all their lives. Does that make sense? So when you're looking back on your life, you say, oh, no wonder I kind of gravitated toward this project or this job, or I didn't like this job and it was out of my core values and I had to quit. So that's kind of what I looked at it.
What'd you take away from it, Mike?
Well, it was, man, I'll tell you right now, Tricia, she keeps you on point. And for those of y'all that didn't listen last week, Renee's wife stepped in. Tricia, and I say stepped in, actually, I think took us to another level.
She led the show. She was quite the inspiration.
She's a star. So if she comes by and you hear her on the air, she might take over for me here. But what I took away from it was very difficult to just narrow it down to 3 or 4. I can get that. But what I took away with it, I was kind of happy that I feel like I'm doing something in my life that gives me fulfillment, and it actually lined up with what my core values were, with spirituality, with leadership, with public speaking. So, but I tell you, you know, that may all go out the window when I come out here to this parade and they start throwing those beads from the floats. It may be every man for himself as far as core values.
Well, as we get into Mardi Gras, the topics for this week's conversation, and that leads us into where we want to go, and that's the importance of goal setting for fun times as well as recreational activities and vacations. And when I got this from you guys, got to be real candid with you. My first thought was, now wait a minute. When I get away from the station, when I get away from the life, the last thing I want to do is plan out everything and have goals set for fun activities. But then I got to thinking about it as well, and the finance side of it, Mike, your side of the realm comes into play there when all of a sudden, you know, somebody puts that credit card in your hand and says, hey, it's time to go play on vacation. What do we go do?
And you're just dreaming, and it's the double mile syndrome and all that kind of good stuff. I tell you, and you hit upon something, and I guarantee if she's not already out here with the kids in the bounce house, my wife is on her way out here with the kids, is listening in the car right now, and she's getting a good chuckle out of this. On vacations, I'm the exact opposite of what you just said. Me and Renee were talking about this. I need a counselor for when I'm on vacations. We went to Universal Studios about 2 years ago, me and the wife and the kids. And long story short, I had an itinerary that, yes, I even emailed my own wife, who I see at night, an itinerary of what we're going to do, at what time, and this is how we're going to beat the lines at this one, etc. I had it down to the minute when we were going to eat, and that's a little bit of my personality that I don't mind sharing on the air, but my wife makes fun of it all the time. She goes, oh, we're on vacation. We're supposed to just go by the seat of our pants and do this. I need work on that. But I will say this, and she's not here to defend herself. The one day that I didn't have the itinerary,
she was lost.
She's like, what are we doing? What do you mean? We don't have it written down. Where are we? I go, okay, just in case I'm going to make one. But so I need a little help. I'm probably not the best one to give advice on how we can relax a little bit more, but it is definitely something that you have to have in your life to look forward to.
On the analytical side, though, surely you didn't have every minute of the vacation planned out. Come on.
You know, close. Pretty close.
Really?
I mean, down to where West.
Did you give the kids some downtime?
Yeah.
I mean, did you give the kids some time to
they got
just
to
hit
ride
the
all that
swimming pool for 17.8 minutes?
I mean, come on now. Have you been to Universal? That's not. Parents aren't having the time of their life at Universal. But... It's. You're paying through the nose and you're waiting in line for 2 hours. No, yes, we have a little bit, but that's definitely something monetarily too. If that is a vacation, let's say for example, we go on off-peak hours. We plan for it. And it's something that we talked about on the show. You've got to have a vacation fund, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but a vacation fund that is totally separate from your emergency fund, totally separate from your car payment fund, and it's a fund that you put into every month. If it's $50 a month, guess what? At the end of the year, you're going to have $600. That's what you're spending on vacation. If it's $500 a month, guess what? You're going to have $6,000 to spend on a vacation. Mm-hmm. But keep that budget, blow it, have fun with it. That's what it's for, and start all over January 1st. That's the best advice I can give on that.
All right, Renee, tell me then, why do I need to take more relaxation? Why do I need to put more fun into my life? Because people, quite frankly, tell me I have too much fun in my life the way it is right now.
Well, I think it's important because a lot of people, really the American society, they don't take enough time off. I mean, I pulled some statistics on the Japanese country that they don't take hardly any of their time. So they'll take only 5 days of vacation, really, of what they have 11 days that they've earned. So, they're constantly
So they take
working.
5 out of the 11 days
5 out of the days, the 11 days off.
So the 6 days, they just give them back to the
working.
employer.
American worker gets an average of 14 days. Actually, in 2011, they only took 12. So, they're leaving some days on the table. I had a real good story. A fellow colleague that worked with me had 5 weeks of vacation, and I remember we were having a discussion, and I said, well, how many vacation days you have? And he said, well, I've got 20 days of vacation. I said, well, you've been able to take all those days. He said, well, I take about a week of that. And I said, so basically you're leaving 4 weeks on the table? And he said, yeah, I'm just so busy. I can't take the time off. They need me around here. And I was just dumbfounded. I said, you have 5 weeks of vacation. You only take one. And he's like, yeah, I can't take off. And the sad part is when the guy left the company, he didn't get any of his vacation pay. So
it's gone.
It's gone. And I just remember thinking that, wow, we as a society, we just continue to work and burn the candle at both ends. So what starts suffering, Jim, is that you have your relationships start going downhill. They have challenges with your family and your spouse. your co-workers, and then your productivity starts to sink because you don't have enough time to re-energize yourself. And as Mike was talking about, the vacation that he strategically plans, that can actually add stress too. But because you end up trying to be at point A to point B so strategically that you're stressed. And so, some of us get back from vacation and then we're saying we need to take a vacation just from a vacation.
Well, that's why I put a big emphasis on that whole word or that concept of balance, because you have to have balance in your life. You have to have that ability when you're going to work hard, but then you also have to have that time period when you're going to play hard. And when you play hard, hopefully that's your ability to recharge, refocus, get the mind clear, get the body thinking in different directions.
Never take a vacation on a credit card. You mentioned that earlier. Never, ever, ever, ever. Why pay 20% on something, let's be honest, if you're going on a trip somewhere that's overinflated to begin with? I mean, but you're going to pay 20% on a hotel room that's $250 when it's normally, $100. But one thing that has helped me, and this isn't a coaching aspect, probably doesn't have anything to do with money, but this is where me and my wife have and it's kind of worked out fine. You got to have something to look forward to. And if you find yourself that a year waiting until August and now it's January to go on a trip, what we try to do is one year we'll take 2 trips, but it'll be like a 3-day trip in March during the kids' spring break, and then a 3-day trip in August. And then the next year maybe we'll take that 4 or 5-day trip. But break it up, because on the calendar, just being able to mark that X off and get to that point is just such a goal-setting thing in itself.
Sure. And when you set that and you're able to achieve it, that makes you feel all the better about it, I'm sure. Renee, you have something to add?
Yeah, Mike was talking about putting your vacation on a credit card. And what's interesting on this study that I found is that 34% of the Americans, workers, said they can't afford to take vacation time because they're short on money. But the interesting on this poll is that, when they looked at their financial situation, most of half the Americans that were polled said that their finances were good or solid. So, again, it goes back to being able to take that time off from work and not spend that money. But
absolutely,
it's just, again, it all boils down to it. That's part of one of the 7 areas that most Americans need to take time off. I choose to do a lot of cycling, and that's part of who I am. And Tricia, thank goodness, is so supportive of me of that, because she knows. She goes, are you in a bad mood today? And I'm like, yeah, She goes, you need to go cycling tomorrow, and I like that.
Well,
I love that
let's
support.
Just get something straight right here. Renee's never talked about this, but I know about him off the air. To me, cycling is I'm going to go down to the 7-Eleven, pick me up maybe a Gatorade, and come back, and oh my gosh, I achieved a workout. Renee, one of these days, we got to get you on. Y'all can make fun of me for planning vacations, but Renee does things like he'll go on an 80-mile bike ride, or he'll do the what it's called, and I'm not going to, hotter than HE double hockey sticks. I don't know if the SEC let me say the real word.
Right.
Out, and you could tell a little bit more about that. But Renee, cycling isn't just whoop-de-doo, we're going around the corner. We're talking 50, 60, 70-mile tracks that he does sometimes. So he's being modest, but definitely having something that drives you and having something outside of work that releases that energy is definitely something that's helped you.
Well, again, people can talk about not having time. And I had some friends that, I don't have time to exercise, and I don't have time to do this, I don't have time for that. So the word have to is like, you change that to I choose to have time. So, we're out here in Mardi Gras. We choose to be out here. All these people are choosing to come out here and just have a good time. But, you can choose to do anything. So I want the listeners to understand that when you're saying that you don't have time to get things done, there's a choice. So either write it down on paper and put that part of your goals to move forward. So I choose to cycle 2 to 3 times a week, Mike, as you mentioned. And I'm not trying to say that it's a big deal, but, I do 100 miles.
But that's your escape both mentally and physically.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know about physically for me, but for you, definitely.
Well, we all do something, and it's better that you do some type of activity so you can be focused and energized, and then being that core value makes you more successful or better in your business and your work.
Physical exhaustion is always good.
Well,
I don't know if I could do 100 miles. That's pretty hardcore.
That's what me and Renee have. We're a great part of this show because we can be the yin and the yang. I'm going to be the guy that's on the couch that they can relate to because I'm exhausted just going back and forth eating this gumbo.
Sure.
But
all right, guys. We talked a little bit about why it's important to take the vacation. Now let's talk about where we go with it. How do we plan for it? What do we do with it? what makes it kind of I don't know, part of our everyday lives, and why is it that most people don't take the time off? What is the driving factor there?
Well, we touched on it a little bit here just a second ago, but one of the things that we were saying is that most Americans don't want to take. They say they don't have time. I don't have this.
Guilty about it, you think?
I think they feel guilty. It could be a possibility that the studies were showing that people say they don't have money, but they put it all on credit cards, and so they have to find that escape somewhere. But it needs to be something. It doesn't even have to be so big. We make vacations out to be something as glamorous, and you're sitting on the beach and you have a Mai Tai in your hand, whatever.
Right.
So you could take a weekend trip and still drive out in the country like Christian and I would do. We'll take a weekend trip. We'll just take a day trip out to the East Texas, drive around, go to a small little town, have lunch, come back dinner. We get back at 10 o'clock at night. But, I'm just enjoying the scenery and taking it all in. So it's not like you have to do this extravagant money-busting.
You just stole my thunder, because that's exactly it. If by going on a vacation, you get back, and that's why I hate putting a vacation on a credit card. If going on the vacation adds stress to your life because now you got to figure out a way to pay for it, that's not a vacation. I know you might have been on a beach. I know you might have been in Cancun. You might have had some Mai Tais. But when you get back, it adds to that stress. That's not a vacation.
You guys bring up a very good point. You've both used the same word over and over. Going on vacation. Going on vacation doesn't mean that you have to go anywhere.
Absolutely.
You can literally have the vacation at home. You can have the vacation where you say, honey, you and I are not going to watch television. We're not going to watch or listen to the radio, except you're always going to listen to KBEC.
Absolutely.
But the reality
at 2 o'clock on Saturday.
The reality being, what you're going to do is you're going to shut off all of those things that are outside distractions, and you're going to talk to each other. You're going to communicate. You're going to go to a movie. You're going to do something together. You're going to go on a 2-mile walk from your house.
Perfect.
And look at all of your neighbors' front yards. Or literally the old adage of go smell the roses, Go to the Dallas Arboretum, or do something that is out of the ordinary that you normally don't do, but allows you to reconnect with your spouse, with your children, with those people in life that you find joy in.
Well, that's so funny, because we're me and my wife and our family, I would say we're subject to the same thing. I mean, we want to do what that was my first time to ever go to Universal that I mentioned earlier. So we never did big trips like that, but I'll be honest with you, and we made fun of them. I had my sisters. I was the oldest, so I always got the big seats, and everybody out there that's our demographic knows what I'm talking about. But the Great American Dad and Mom road trip, where the kids are in the back seat, Dad's yelling at you to quit fighting with your sister, Mom's getting a headache because the kids are always fighting, oh, you're sitting on my side, et cetera, et cetera. But I tell you what, the best memories and the best vacations of my life I still have when I was a little kid fighting over my sister over a 1/4 inch of space in the back seat. So there's something to be said about that. We live in Waxahachie, where we are literally 2 hours from the most beautiful hill country down in Austin. You can go to Dallas, you can go to Fort Worth. We have all these things to our disposal that people fly in from out of town to visit that a lot of us don't take advantage of.
Sure, and we need to do that more often. Hey, when we get back from break here, I want to address this whole issue of some things that you guys have coming up here in terms of planning. You guys got some seminars coming up, and we want to tell our listeners about that. But let's take a commercial break here, and we'll be right back with you. We are having a great time down here at Mardi Gras. I do want to mention, too, that if you guys ever have questions during the week, not call the station today. It'll be a little bit rough for us because we're on remote, but send us via email at info@kbec.com your questions. We now have on our homepage, on the web page, all you have to do is look for the Success Guys on the left side. Click on that, and you can send an instant email to Mike or Renee. We always want to take your questions. We appreciate it. Thank you. We'll be back here in about a minute and a half. Oh, little gumbo music in the background. Little Mardi Gras coming on down here as we come back live to Singleton Plaza. I've got Renee Guerra and Mike Hill, the Success Guys, and we are doing Changing Lives in Days, or changing lives one day at a time, $1 at a time. Renee, one of the things we forgot to talk to the listeners about, we had everybody give us their core values last week, except one individual, and that individual was out in San Diego going through some fancy-fied training with a guest that will be on our station. Can we break that now?
Yes.
Why don't we break that right now?
I think
give them the big news.
Well, I was at a training with Jack Canfield in San Diego with many other trainers from around the world.
And explain to our listeners who Jack Canfield is.
Jack Canfield is the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And while I was there, I had an opportunity to ask Jack in the front of about 70 or 80 people after an exercise, and it was just phenomenal. I said, Jack, we're doing a radio program in Waxahachie, Texas. Gave him the call letters, KBC 1390. I said, would you be our guest on our show? It was one of my goals. You know, when I talk about goal setting, it's really important that you visualize it and you believe it's possible. So before I left for San Diego, I had this intention of asking Jack, but it was only going to be with him being side to side. Nothing, it's nothing fancy.
Right.
But I was given the mic, and so I had to react. And that's where you have this. Some people have a fear of not taking a chance or taking that step.
And when you put the mic in front of you, what are you going to say?
I asked him. I just went out and asked him, and he said yes. So I'm excited, and Mike and I are excited. He's going to be on our show on March 24th. So we would love to have people start submitting their questions for Jack. But, even then, start submit some questions for us. But on March 24th, mark your calendar. We're going to have the number one success coach on our show.
That is huge. Chicken Soup for the Soul. D. Arthur will be on for the full hour. Do we know how long we're going to get him?
He is going to be on for the full hour. He's been emailing me, and I've been working with his assistant. So also he's author of the Success Principles book that you guys we should read. It's a fabulous book, and having him on our show is just such an honor for me because his teachings has taught me so much.
KBEC listeners, get the message out here. This is a must listen to on March 24th.
Exactly.
Jack Canfield's 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. That's fantastic.
We'll be there.
All right, now I got you completely off topic.
That's okay.
Core values for Rene Guerra.
Rene Guerra. When I went through the process, and this is not a scary process. It's something that really is kind of cool where you can dive down into yourself. So again, my core values are empowering and training because I love to empower people through my coaching process and see them take that next leap of action or just take that fear out of them or discover their limiting beliefs. And so also in training individuals, I love to do some speaking. And, we're talking about workshops that are going to be coming up that Mike and I will be doing. I love connecting with people. I mean, being out here in Mardi Gras and meeting new people. And, we'd love some listeners to come up to our booth today and show some love. And compassion is another core value of mine that I've seen throughout my life. My mother, very compassionate woman, and I think it rubbed off on me just being compassionate for individuals. Spirituality is so important to me because I think that's what drives my heart and soul. And then adventure, that adventure piece that we're talking about cycling.
That's that 100-mile.
That's that
hotter than you know what, Rod. Are you kidding me?
Well, I'm going to share this goal with the listeners. I want to do a bike ride. It's called the Blue Ridge Mountain Parkway ride, and it's usually in September up in Virginia, and it's close to 500 miles, a 5 to 6 day bike ride, about 50,000 feet of climbing. I don't do that to impress anybody. I just think that when we look at goals and you set a goal and you set the intention to get it done, you just start working towards that. So your core value, again, ties into what you'll put into it. And you just have to look at the training as not a sacrifice, but as something that you want to achieve in life. So if you want to be somebody, bigger than what you are, take that course, take that lesson, get outside your comfort zone and do it. You know what I mean?
Well, and and I see it on my side. That's why we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, that ING commercial, if you will, that shows the number. I hate that. It's so daunting. You show somebody a 7-figure number is what you got to have for retirement. I'll get people that'll walk in and go, what's the point? I know I'll never get there. Well, first of all, that attitude you won't. But second of all, let's start small. We're going to just break it up into different accounts first. Let's get something going towards an IRA, maybe a Roth IRA that's tax-free, et cetera, et cetera. But you've got to break up little goals to wind up at the big one. You don't win the Super Bowl because you threw the football in your backyard 5 times.
If you don't start saving $5, you're never going to save $100,000.
Exactly. So, and I know it's daunting, but it's like the jar. And I've gotten some feedback on that, which I thought a lot of people did, to be quite frank with you. I thought I was the only crazy one to do that. I've gotten so many people that have come up to me after being on the show that day saying, I put money in a jar now, and we don't go out to eat as much as we used to. And so I know there's going to be, I better be quiet because we got a lot of vendors out here. And I'm not saying that you don't go out to eat, but you'd be shocked that just putting it on that little debit card every time you go out to eat, how convenient. And the banks do that on purpose. They don't give you a debit card because they just love you and they don't like cash. It's so much easier to do that. So, anyway, I'm glad that's starting to help.
I'm going to have to tell on myself. Trish and I went out to dinner again last night, and my goal in 2012 was to really minimize eating out. So it's really to take Trish out once a month to do a celebration, something that we really can maximize a dinner. But not these.
Now he's going to tell us he was celebrating coming back from San Diego.
Yeah.
That was the celebration.
I don't know. She may celebrate me being away from home. Hey, I'm glad you're gone for a week. Now I got to really rest for a little bit.
That's what she was telling Mike and I.
Yeah. She tells me the.
We didn't tell you she bought lunch after we were on the show. No.
And dinner for me too. She didn't buy dinner for you. No, I'm sorry.
But it does make sense. Looking at the way the debit card is, it's so easy to go out and spend $20 to $30,
or $300 to $400.
You add that up. It's just huge. So again, I've got to get back on track, and that's the cool thing about it. I'm just going to interject this: is that when people feel like that they can't get started or they just get into this negative thinking. I was looking at a Facebook post today of a friend of mine, and they posted that the whole year is already blown. 2 months into the year, it's blown. I knew it was going to be a bad year. I want the listeners to understand that, that kind of thinking can get you stuck and just domino effect. So how can you say the whole year is not a good year just 2 months into the 12-month year? So that kind of thinking really gets you started on that. So you do have a good time to change that.
Good point. Hey, you guys talked that you were going to have some upcoming seminars. Why don't you give our listeners a little feedback on what those seminars are about, what you plan on doing, when you're going to offer those, and what they can expect to learn at each one of them.
Well, and right now we're determining on the time. Some of you that know are clients of mine here in the area, besides being on the radio, I've done some workshops through Navarra College, Navarra. Down there last year, we did a workshop that was highly attended, actually had a waiting list for the complete financial management workshop. And that was a 4 to 5 hour course that we covered over 2 nights, from everything from long-term care to college funding, what to ask when you have car insurance, homeowners insurance. So I kind of wanted to change it up this year. I didn't want to, for one thing, I didn't want to take up all of the college's time being there for 5 or 6 nights in a row up there at the college. We have a great workshop that discusses everything you want to know about Social Security. All these little things that people don't know to ask when they're going to claim the Social Security, or things like, did you know if you were married to a spouse for 10 years and now you're remarried, you've been married to that spouse for 20 years, you could claim the Social Security on your first spouse if it's higher than the one that you had. Just little things like that. And then one class that I was going to give, and I'm trying to get some feedback from the listeners because I'm trying to decide which way we're going to go, is I've been getting asked a lot, Mike, how do you think the presidential elections are going to affect the markets? Well, I have a really good little customer feedback. I have a real good presentation on what stock markets have done for the past 100 years during election years. And it is a very intriguing study, and it's got great slides and great feedbacks, regardless of what side of the fence you're on politically. It's a really good workshop. And I know Renee, another one, and I'll let it go and I'll let Renee talk on, is I want to see which one people have interest in, because that's the one I'll offer for free at the college, is women in investing. That one has been a very popular one when I taught that one at Kraft a couple of years ago, where it's just women only. You come in and we talk about the ins and outs in investing. You can ask Mike Hill everything you ever wanted to ask but were too afraid to, and I'll give you the ins and outs of what it has nothing to do with products or how you're invested. It's just, maybe you don't know what a Roth IRA is, and you were too scared to ask because you just felt like you needed to know. So anyway, those are the things that I'm putting out there that I want to offer to the community. I just want to know, from emailing KBEC or calling in, tell us which ones appeal to you, and that's the one I'll put on the books in March.
Well, you know what? You guys did a great job on location from the Singleton Plaza, but we did take just a little break here to talk a little bit about what's going on down here, because we're 30 minutes away from the Mardi Gras Parade as we broadcast live from the 9th annual Downtown Waxahachie Mardi Gras event. The little buckaroo is here.
Que pasa? Que pasa?
Had a little gumbo.
I had that was good gumbo. My gosh, it was good. And the Sea Shack. Yeah, a little frosty libation. It's a little frosty, but that's okay. It's nice out here. We're having a lot of good times. A lot of people that I haven't seen for a while.
right.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Good.
Horace Pratchett, who walks by.
Yes, Horace.
So he's getting ready to get on one of those floats for the parade.
Is he really?
Yes, he is.
Well, we're going to get them. We're getting them lined up. I see that now. They're starting to line up right now.
Well, come on down and join us. Downtown Waxahachie, bundle up, have a great time. And we need to thank some sponsors for our broadcast today. That includes Community National Bank and Trust of Red Oak. You can hear the band members get ready for the parade. Ennis Appliances, also Eric's Garage, U Petting Zoo. Call for your next event or party. Of course, the kind of livestock market, including the Ennis FFA, Ennis State Bank. Catracio's Tire, home of the $49.95 brake job. Also, Rick's Radiator and Muffler and Lakewood Self-Storage. Bubba's Barbecue and Steakhouse, Midlothian Funeral Home, and the fine folks at Southwest Foundation Repair and Wolverton Heating and Air.
Thank you guys very much. We really do appreciate it. Without you, we'd be nothing.
We still have a few T-shirts left. If you want to come on by, these are the special KBEC Classic Texas Mardi Gras T-shirts.
Oh, they're awesome, too.
Very nice, and they're only $10 a
piece. A little crawdad on their body. It's a good thing.
Very, very nice indeed. Of course, we've got Mike and Renee. They're going to be finishing up their show here. JG, I don't know if we're doing a commercial break or not. We're not, so we're just going to get back to action. We'll go back to commercial break. About 22. Okay, very good. Well, in that case, we'll just say the Success Guys are ready to roll on.
Welcome to remote radio broadcasting.
This is the first.
Your first taste of it.
First.
Hopefully you guys are enjoying
Outdoor activity, kids. Thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
You know, I want to mention something real quick because these guys are awesome. They make a great pizza. Tuscan Slice was nice enough to donate a couple of gift certificates, and we were going to do some kind of, we had no idea what kind of turnout we'd get down here. We wanted to give some kind of giveaway away. We got two $20 gift certificates to Tuscan Slice, and what I was thinking is the first person that comes up to our booth that says they heard us on the radio, because if you're out here, we're not out loud, comes up to us and heard us on the radio, you will get one of these gift cards because they're so pressed for time. And if you haven't been over there, the pizza's awesome. They're out here making it.
What a great deal. All right.
I agree.
First listener to walk up to Singleton Plaza. You can't miss us down here. KBEC booth. We've got two $20 gift certificates to Tuscan Slice. We're going to give one to you. All you got to do is walk up and say, hey, I'm here and I want it. What a great job. Hey, awesome. Mike, thank you. Come on down, listeners. I got to tell you, the Zydeco Band, the parade's getting ready to leave here in about 10 minutes. They're handing out beads. You need to come down to Mardi Gras in Singleton Plaza and have a great time.
We have tents down here, by the way.
Renee, you're the one that's supposed to keep us on track, though.
Yeah, I was trying.
Get us back on topic.
Well, okay.
Where do we want to go from here?
Well, one of the things Mike was talking about is his workshop, and I definitely want to attend his workshop when he gets that scheduled because, I mean, it's really exciting and to know about your finances because that's an area that people really need to work on. And, again, it's one of those things where people spend more time on their vacation, as Mike alluded to. He's planning all his vacation. I can see he's very strategic.
Okay,
but that's awesome because he would be a good financial planner.
So what am I going to learn at this thing, though? What's the key? Are you just going to beat me up for not having my budget done?
No, we're not even going to talk about that. Was my other workshop that I did, and that was now that one you do dive in, it's painful, but that one was awesome. That one I had great feedback. I taught it for years. I'm not going to do that this year. This year, the ones that I really want to press on is the one about Social Security. We're not talking about products. We're not even talking about your investments. 45% of Americans, their largest income source during retirement is from Social Security. But yet, nobody learns about it until they're 65, 66. Nobody does the research. So that is a class that I'm definitely wanting to give out to the listeners. But I want to get feedback. If nobody wants to attend that one, another one that I'm offering is the presidential elections. That's more of a seminar, if you will, to kind of show you what the market's doing presidential elections. These aren't talking about products. These aren't talking about investments or even personal things. It's more macroeconomic. I want people to learn everything they can about Social Security and the ins and outs.
Gotcha. Social Security is one of those things, too, I think most people take for granted. They sit there and they say, okay, I'm going to get something, but I'm not sure what I'm going to get. They don't really have an idea as to how much money or where that money comes from or what they're going to do with it. And then it's a function of, now that I'm here, what do I do?
Yeah, absolutely. But give me feedback on the website. Let me know which class appeals to you. And I know Renee has some that we're going to be talking about. It's going to be more about personal growth, things you're stuck in a rut. How do you get out of that? more along the Jack Canfield, if you will, lines. But I'm very more focused. I'm focusing more on what the market's going to do this year with presidential elections. I'm going to show you why I hate the market and things that you can do to get out of it. But I'm also going to show you maybe the Social Security class if you're interested. So definitely give me feedback, listeners, and we'll provide the one that gets the most votes, if you will.
I think that's great, Mike, because that way the listeners can give us information through the website, and hopefully those that are streaming out there. I have several friends that we're going to listen to today.
It's free, and you get a nice workbook when you leave, and especially on the Social Security one. The Social Security one, when we did it up in Plano, had 180 attendees.
Wow,
for one class.
That's huge. That's awesome. Well,
that is fantastic. Hey, listeners, if you keep hearing the signal break up down here, we got a little bit of weather coming in, and it's kind of crazy down here. So we apologize if the signal's not that crystal clear sound you're used to hearing, but we're doing the best we can under the conditions, and it's Mardi Gras. People are out here having a good time, and we're watching the floats get ready and lining up, and they're having a big time, no question about it. Okay.
We're having a good time. Live radio out here is interesting because I had someone asking me a question about where the parade started, so I had to take my headset off. So I'm like, okay, let me answer your question. I really don't know where it starts at, but we can see the floats getting lined up in front of us, and it's pretty awesome. But dovetailing on what Mike was talking about, my workshop, I'm looking at it probably sometime in March. I don't have the date set yet, but it'll be about a 4 to 4.5 hour workshop, and we'll really dive into goal setting and what is finding your purpose in life, and then taking 100% responsibility. We'll dive a little bit deeper on that and what that means and what that looks like, and we'll have exercises where people will go through, work one-to-one or maybe in groups of 4.
Now, will you start that out with 100% responsibility, or what's the thought process there?
I think I'm looking at that, starting it out there. There'll be some other, maybe a couple exercises before that, but it will really, wow, we got one more. I didn't mean to stop, but we got
we got our winner.
Winner out there.
$20 gift certificate. Right.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Good for you.
Where were you listening? Awesome. Good job. Have a free dinner on KBC.
Hey, can we get a picture?
And the Success Guys. Yeah, we'll try and get a picture with her real quick.
All right.
Hey, we're on live radio, though, so we can't break up too. We got to keep talking here.
All right, well, we got to keep
if we don't talk, the listeners don't hear what we're talking about on the other end of here.
True. But go back to the workshop. It will be about a 4-hour workshop, and what I'll do is incorporate some of the learnings that I use through our Intercompass, our coaching program, and then also insert some things that I've learned from Jack Canfield, who I believe is just the master out there of training. And so a 4.5 hour workshop. I'm looking at probably the Civic Center. I'm working with them, but I'm also wanting to partner with Mike because I really like his message and then how that ties into finances, because that's one of the things that comes up a lot in workshop is career and finances. And so we're trying to work out something that we can maybe pull that together to have one workshop, but we'll see when it comes up.
Sure, and how you create that total balance in your life, whether it be financial, whether it be personal, whether it be anything in life that you're dealing with. Okay, we're going to take another break here. We're going to kick it back to the studio and be back here in about 2 minutes, gang. Thank you for listening to the Success Guys, and we are down here at Singleton Plaza, now in kind of a driving rain, but you know what? They're still lining up for the Mardi Gras. You got to come down here. Have a good one. Oh, we're back down here in Mardi Gras in Singleton Plaza. We're watching them lined up, and we got the whole crew here. We got Mikey. We got the illustrious Dave Stewart. We got his gorgeous and illustrious wife.
Oh, my goodness.
And we got Ken Roberts. What can we say?
Hey.
Along with the Success Guys. And it's amazing how a little bit of rain moves everybody into the KBEC tent.
Yes.
We're truly in the midst of happiness.
I just thought it was our warm personality.
Rain, but we're still having fun. It's Mardi Gras, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're living big.
I noticed some people don't even notice it's raining, but
notice the alcoholics underneath there they haven't even flinched a second. So, all right, guys, now we got to talk about the Success Guys in life and money and how money matters. And I know, Mike, you want to throw a challenge out there to our listeners. Go ahead and give it to them. Come on, buddy.
Not a challenge as far as like it's WWE or whatever you call it, but more of I think on our show it gets lost a little bit that we're doing things like taking 100% responsibility of your life and core values, but I also want to help listeners that have questions now that aren't so life-changing that may take a while to do so. What I mean by that is, listeners, if you're out there, go ahead and email us, call us next week, but get specific. I mean, ask questions like Mike. Why do you need a financial advisor? What the heck do you guys do?
Where's the price of gold going?
Yeah, where's the price of gold
Where's
going?
the price of silver going?
What do you think the market's going to do this year?
We have a second winner. I'm sorry.
Oh, all right. Man, somebody...
Second winner for Tuscan Slice. Congratulations.
All right.
Thanks
Congratulations.
for listening. We appreciate it. Good deal.
Now, for the record, that's the last one,
That's
everybody.
the last one. We're out. Sorry,
Either
man.
that or Jim's pulling it out of pocket.
Really
have good pizza.
Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
But well, here's one that I'm getting all the time because we're in taxes. Mike, what are some ideas to lower your taxes? I'm just giving you examples, listeners. But call in, ask us, email. If we can't answer them on the air, I'll get back to you. Use our advice. Use my 15 years of expertise to help you. This is your show, Ellis County.
The best way to get that is info@kbec.com. All you have to do is go to our webpage and look under the left side banner, and you'll see a number of gray little buttons down there, and there's one labeled The Success Guys. You click on that, and instantly up comes their email address, and all you have to do is type in your question to Renee and Mike, and they'll be more than happy to answer it for you. We really do appreciate them offering that to our listeners and providing that as a tremendous service back to us as a community. That's fantastic, and I do appreciate that, both of you.
Oh, you're welcome, Jim.
I can't say thank you enough for doing that kind of thing. We've talked a little bit about questions, and I know one of our listeners last week brought us one, and that was kind of a very basic one, Mike, when they said, how much money do I need for retirement? What's the magic number? And we talked about the ING thing and the fact that, everybody's different there. We've talked about putting together the plan. We've talked about what they need to do to take the steps. I think the question that a lot of people still have, though, and the one listener brought it up last week, I'm 47. I haven't done anything. Help.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, I mean, we're talking more of a financial plan here.
Life plan.
Whatever it may be. Well, it sounds like a cliche. You're never too old or too young to start, to be quite frank with you. I mean, I've seen people that have had a great financial plan, then you had a huge illness, didn't have the proper health insurance, or didn't have the kind of disability insurance that you need, then all of a sudden you lost everything. Mm-hmm. So it didn't just have to be that I never started one. I've had people that started one and lost everything through a divorce or whatever it may be, bad business investment. But what should you do? You're 47, you're walking in. Right now, you just did the first step. The most important thing is decide to get serious and do it. And, of course, we've talked about making a budget, et cetera, et cetera. But I also want to talk to the listeners about the old adage of putting a little bit in the market every single month or whatever that may be. You need to learn about alternative ways of investing. I'm just sold on it. I'm going to preach on it. I'm going to yell it from the mountaintops. The market 11 years ago was at 10,200 on 9/11. I use that because everybody remembers that date. Here we are today, 2012, and the market's around 12,800. We've gone up 20%, which sounds great, in 10.5 years. And, oh, by the way, how much Mylanta were you drinking over those 10.5 years?
Sure.
We averaged less than a 2.8% return per year. And you had to pay taxes on that if you were buying and selling bonds. My point is the buy and hold way of investing is not working. You've got to look at other methods out there. That would be the first thing I'd tell those listeners when starting a plan.
Renee, what about you? 47-year-old hasn't done anything. Now they're sitting there going, what do I do?
Well, life's not over. I have my mother's 81 years old, and she is always preaching the same thing about I'm never too old to start anything. And when I had her on a tandem with me a few weeks ago during Thanksgiving, I mean, it was just...
Are you whoa, tandem bike?
Tandem bicycle for the first time ever.
Wow.
I got a picture. I had it on my Facebook page, and people were just responding to her, and she just thought it was so cool. But, she's a representative of never too old to start anything. So 47 is not old. You can really begin now. And that's the thing about writing down goals, because that's what I want the listeners to really understand, that there's always an opportunity to start now. Start today. Start this second. You can write a goal. You can have a goal, if it's whether you're doing 10 push-ups right now, as we're talking, get on the floor, do 10 push-ups. That's a victory, no matter how small that is. If you want to work out, do 10 push-ups right now. If you're a listener and you want to work out, that's what you do. I mean, that's one of the things that it's immediate action. Something that you can do within the next 15 minutes. Write a goal down. Start putting money in a
I have a goal for the next 15 minutes. Let's get it to stop raining.
Well, no, it's getting worse out here. But you know what?
Hey, we're having fun.
But it goes back to the event E plus R equals O, which the event plus response equals outcome. We mentioned that on the show. If you're saying I'm 47 years old and I'm too old, and you're saying, okay, the response is I'm too old to start anything, the outcome is you just stay where you are. You're stuck, right? So the event is I'm 47 years old. The response is I can start now. The outcome is I can still have money and still save money for retirement if I make a plan and stick to that plan and make it a goal. And so, for listeners out there, remember E plus R equals O. And I learned that through the seminar with Jack, and it's just been so important in all aspects of my life, not just financial, but everything else. But they can start now, so I can't restate enough. And what a coach can do, and I know listeners are saying, well, I can read all these self-help books, and why can't I do it on my own? Why do I need a coach? Well, a coach will give you some accountability, will give you some feedback. You also have 1 hour with me, or if it's not with me, find a coach. It doesn't have to be with me, but, find someone that can hold you accountable. Listen to your dreams and goals and provide you some feedback and give you some ideas and tips on how you can stay focused.
And I think that's so critical. What you're really saying there is how many people have ever tried to do this alone? And when you try and do it alone, all of a sudden you lose the momentum. And the momentum's lost for any number of reasons. You have too many distractions at home. You have too many distractions with your family. There comes a point in time when you just got to ante up and say, listen, I'm going to make changes, but to get myself to make these changes, I need a professional in my life that's going to hold me accountable above and beyond. They're going to question me why I'm spending that $47.86 a week on McDonald's hamburgers. They're going to question me on why I've done 15 lifestyle exercises. I filled out all the paperwork, and yet I still don't have control of how I spend my time or where my life goes or what I'm doing day in and day out.
Or how about just an honest view of yourself? How many of us, myself included, you look in a mirror?
Well, you're the most gorgeous man in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like yourself, Mike,
absolutely. I mean, you sit there and look in the mirror and look great, but I mean, think of professional golfers. There's probably 150 that can legitimately stay on tour every single year. And these guys are the top 0.0001% golfers in the world. And every one of them has a swing coach. Every one of them has a caddy helping them with
every
advice.
Every one of them has a psychologist.
Yeah, that's my point. These are guys that have hit the pinnacle of their career. They could have stopped right there, but they have coaches to help them to get to that and stay at that plateau. It just amazes me how so many, out there, coaching is such a big word, or it's maybe too big for people to understand, but that's kind of how I feel financial advisors are. My job is to get you to think differently or to do something that's uncomfortable for you to get you started on the right path.
Right. And that's something you're going to have to come to expect as a listener. If you're out there and you're expecting to get all of these changes done by yourself without somebody taking you outside of your comfort level, I got news for you. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to go outside your comfort level. You're going to have to sit there and do some good, solid self-analysis and not feel threatened by it. But then at the end of the day, also realize that you 100% responsibility for your own actions are going to have to do some things. You're going to have to make some fundamental changes to your life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what's wrong with it, 9 times out of 10 for most people, is the fact that they're too afraid to take that first step.
Absolutely.
They're too afraid to just sit down and say, okay, I'm not perfect. Admit you're not perfect. Go on, get from there and grow. So,
well, yeah, there could be some underlying self-esteem issues or things that have happened in the past. Of course, I'm not a counselor, but a coach can help people get started. Let's take the analogy of when you got. I'm going to use the analogy of a bike because I'm a cyclist. But when you first started riding your bike, you had training wheels, right? Training wheels on there. So your mom or dad, whoever would push you with your training wheels, and you got a little bit of momentum. Well, coaches will help you get that momentum and really want you to eventually get rid of those training wheels just to kind of get the momentum going, at least get some small chunk it down activities going, because that's the hardest part. People give up. It's February, mid-February, February
18th, I think.
February 18th,
and then people
Mardi Gras.
People have already probably given up on some of their workout goals, and so they get into this. Well, I can't do it. I can't fail. And I know we're out here having fun, and the whole aspect of having recreation is important. But again, just start somewhere. It doesn't have to be huge.
We've got 2 minutes here each, guys, to kind of wrap it up. And I do want to thank you for going your first time doing live radio. I think you both did great. I think you survived.
I'm going to go into bounce house.
We had a number of people that came up and kind of threw us some curveballs. We've dealt with the weather. We've dealt with the crowds around us. So thank you for making this come.
This is awesome. I love to live in a community. This is why I like doing a radio show. I love living in a community where things like this aren't just a once every 10 years.
Hopefully next time we'll be able to get a few more people out of here. But there are people literally writing down in the parade route still in the pouring down rain, and they're still giving out beads. You
absolutely
have to love it. Absolutely have to love it. The diehards are here. But to that end, we're going to wrap the show up. Tell me, Renee, what your wrap-up is. Where you want to go from here?
Hey, guys, this has been a phenomenal event. Whether the rain, again, I'm looking at, we could have said, hey, this is going to be a tough day, but the response is we're going to have some fun. I love being out here at Mardi Gras. I love the people, love the crowd, and we will be live again on March 3rd.
We will be live again March 3rd at the
Indoors
at the Waxahachie Lifestyle Expo, which will hopefully be a little bit more comfortable surroundings. I do want to mention that next week's show, we do want to talk about finding your life purpose. And as part of finding your life purpose, that's one of those exercises we're going to challenge our listeners to, and really paying close attention to what you find is your core value, and then where you're going to take that and how you're going to create a life purpose.
And I'll say one thing, Jim, if that's okay. I just want to say, don't be afraid, even if it's not in the theme of our show, to email a question that has anything to do with investment. Michael, how do I save for college? How do I save for... I want you to challenge your listeners to definitely come out and ask these questions. If I can't answer it, I'll find somebody that can. But challenge us on the show.
And if we don't know what those questions are, we obviously can't do anything to answer them. So
right.
We need those questions sent to us at info@kbec.com. And from there, we do appreciate it. Renee?
Guys, I've had a good time. This has been a lot of fun, and I just enjoy it. Can't wait until we get back out there again and next Saturday and start talking about our life purpose. But, again, thanks to the listeners. We appreciate your support. Got a lot of friends out there that are supporting the show. So thanks so much to everyone in the community.
Appreciate it. We're going to send it back to the station and TSN News. And JG, thank you for helping us today, buddy.
Yay, Mardi Gras.
Yay, Mardi Gras.
Woo-hoo! You've been listening to Life and Money Matters with the Success Guys on 1390 KBEC. Mike Hill is a registered representative of and securities offered through Berthel Fisher and Company Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Hill & Associates Wealth Management Advisors is independent of BFCFS. The interpretations and organizations of these ideas are the confidential thoughts of Mike Hill and do not represent the opinions of Berthel Fisher and Company Financial Services.